The Electoral College is the process in our country in which we elect president and vice president every 4 years. The Electoral College was established by our founding fathers and is stated and described in the Constitution. The Electoral College is made up of 538 electors. Each state has its own number of electors, and the number of electors they have is based on how many representatives each state has, which is based on the population. The majority of electoral votes is 270 and is what is required of each candidate in order to win the election. So in order to win the election, they must have 270 electoral votes or more. The electors' responsibility is to vote, to cast their vote for each candidate based on how the particular state that they represent voted. So we cast our votes for each candidate, for whichever candidate we decide. Our vote doesn't go directly to the candidate, it goes to the electors, and the electors vote based on how we as the people in each state voted. Winner takes all system is a system that all but 2 states have, and that means that whichever candidate wins the majority of the votes takes all the electors in each state. And like I said, there's 538 and they need 270 to win. So whichever candidate wins the majority of the votes in each state, they take all of the electors. However, Maine and Nevada do not follow the winner takes all system. Rather, they have a more proportional system of how they do it, rather than the candidate taking all the electors if they win over the state. My opinion on the Electoral College is that it is a very good system. It's a very fair way to elect a president. For the longest time, before I really got into politics and really developed an interest for the election, just politics in general, I never really understood why the Electoral College is, like, why we use that rather than just going off of the popular vote. I thought that just going off the popular vote would be a more simple way to do things. Why bother going through electors and the electoral vote? But now I kind of have a better understanding, and so I understand it. Each state has a certain number of voters. Obviously, larger states like California and Texas and New York have a very large number of voters compared to a state like Rhode Island. If the election was just based on popular vote, then a candidate could win just based on, 4 or 5 of the larger states. So when campaigning, if we went off of the popular vote, why would a candidate bother campaigning to a smaller state when they could spend all their time campaigning and gaining supporters in the larger states and have more voters and have a better chance of winning? The Electoral College makes it more fair so that it's not based on number of voters in each state just because the number of voters in each state ranges so much. So the Electoral College makes it more of a fair, more broad range of how each candidate campaigns. It makes it so that each state has equal representation in the voting process. So rather than, for instance, Donald Trump only campaigning to California, now because of the Electoral College, candidates will campaign for all of the states because each state holds equal importance in each election, in each race, because of the Electoral College.